Good day to one and all. This is Dr. Sivaraman of iknowindices.com. Yeah, thanks for confirming the sound. Let me display the PowerPoint presentation. Asian Session Live Market Analysis on October 25th between 5 and 5:30 GMT. We will track the market using the live market code page and refer to that of the highs and the lows shown currently, compare it with it of the initial lows and the highs, and also just analyze the net change, what you come across in the live market code page to understand how far the players have moved the market away from that of Friday close. So we will use the live market code page and the link for the same is given, and this is the only tool I use for the market analysis nowadays, and I'll focus the camera over that of the live market code page and you can refer to that. Let me explain to you what has happened so far for the week beginning. Euro is trading around 1.4029, 1.4031, and the low was 1.3935, and that was briefly stayed there, and subsequently they gained the levels, and the high was 1.4043, 76 pips they gained so far from that of Friday close. So on Friday, you know that Euro was looking very lackluster, and many of the people thought that it is on the downside move, and I am the only person calling that it could not go up. It could go up, whereas rest of the people were thinking that it could make sideways moves and then drop. But the players have really gained the levels during the start of the day. So this is how they create the market sentiment and act against the traders. So we need to read the hidden agenda rather than becoming panic whenever there is a small drop or whenever there is a small swing on the downside. If we think that they are trying to offload and trying to buy it at a lower level, then it might be a misguidance. What they have done, they just were holding on Friday during that of the US session at a lower level, and to create that sentiment, they dropped GBP to that of 1.56 area, and then people started becoming bearish. Whereas now if you see that GBP has gained more when compared to that of Euro. So you can understand now it is not the strength and weaknesses of the currencies based on the fundamentals, and the players are specifically doing it using the fundamentals as an attribute and subsequently make a drastic change in the market, giving certain other type of attributes which are being released from time to time. So if we don't understand that, then probably we will become jittery even about 5 pips move or a 10 pips move or a big red candle formation or a big green candle formation. Immediately we will be triggered to follow the emotions rather than using our reasoning ability. So GBP has gained substantially already about 100 pips from that of the low, and it was opening almost flat and making a brief downward move to 1.5661 and then subsequently gained, and initially GBP was gaining lesser when compared to that of Euro, and because of that Euro GBP again revisited 89 area and they went up to 89.30, and then you come across 4 pips positive net change. So they were initially holding at a lower level 89, and then subsequently gained about 40 pips from there, created a bullish field and started offloading. So in order to offload, as I explained earlier, they gained more in the case of GBP when compared to that of Euro. So this is what happens every time, but still we are not able to understand the sequence at which they are operating. So if you realize the sequence at which they do it, then we will not be perturbed with certain unnecessary fears. In the case of USD Yen, 80.999, 81.02 are the current levels, 80.96 the usual psychological level below that of 81, and the high is 81.44, 35 pips negative net change is seen. So all the three currencies are showing now USD weakening move. So many of the people were thinking on Friday that after the G20 meeting, there could be a severe impact in the market. So they did not want to hold the positions over the weekend. So clearly, the players created the sentiment at that time as if the G20 is going to have very strong impact on Monday opening, but later on you find that the market continued to gain the levels. So this is how they create the feel among that of the traders as if the world will be corrected overnight, or all the anomalies which are prevailing in the world will be corrected overnight, but subsequently they will say that it will take a longer time, or it may take one more quarter, two more quarters. So they have been talking about double recession, and similarly they have just subsided about it, and they have been talking about Greece problem, and they just forgotten about it. So every time you find that as if an event is going to take place, after the event there is going to be a drastic change in the world, and subsequently you find the world continue to rotate in a similar way, and you don't come across much of its changes, and then you find the market also create surprise for that of the traders on Monday morning or Sunday night in the case of US traders. So if you understand this particular psychology, then we will not give importance to that of the Friday closing or Monday opening and this sort of thing, and it doesn't really give any sort of understanding for us. And probably technically you know that when GBP closed below that of 1.57, everybody started becoming bearish. Then what happened? Their players have gained the levels. And why we unnecessarily presume and develop the feel and later on get disappointed or become surprised, rather than keep open mind, and the players can make an upward move or a downward move. Irrespective of the move, we should have a trading strategy to handle the positions. That should be an appropriate methodology rather than just creating the feel derived from that of the Friday close. So the players, if you noticed carefully on Friday, they have been holding euro around above that of 1.39. They have not been dropping it, and they have been simply absorbing it in a narrow range swing. And in the case of GBP, they just were trading around 1.5730 and subsequently dropped below 1.57 and up to 5675 they dropped. Just a matter of 25 pips. And immediately they were able to see that the traders holding long positions are liquidating before they intend to make further rise on Monday morning. So whether it is going to be an event of any prime importance or unimportant event, the players have got their own way of interpretations, giving the interpretations to that of the market, and they continue to make the move according to their whims and fancy rather than that of the world events. So if we think the volatility is based on the world events, then we will continue to get disappointed. Then in the case of CHF, you know that on Friday, they have been visibly handling Euro rise and CHF rise. CHF gained about 120 pips. Euro was gaining about 20-30 pips. At that time, many were surprised how could CHF would go up. And when I was giving the Tracking the Forex Market Together webinar, I was explaining how exactly they handled Euro as well as USD CHF in order to gain substantially levels in the case of Euro CHF. Now, Euro CHF, which was trading around 1.32, 1.33, and it was looking so bearish, and it was not able to go above that of 1.34. And now you find that they have straight away taken it to 1.36, and further gain is seen to about 30 pips now to 1.3657 area. So this is how they create the market and act against the traders. So if you simply follow what is visible in the market, you will not be able to recognize the hidden agenda. Then in the case of Canadian dollar, it is trading around 1.0208, 1.0212 1.0209 is the low, and 1.0266 is the high. They went up to 1.03 area on Friday, then came down to 1.023226 level, and subsequently gain the level. They are making about 50 pips swing. You come across 48 pips negative net change when Australian dollar has gained about 100 pips. So they do not want to drop the denominator currencies more. It is very visible here when you refer to that of the net changes. Australian dollar during the Japanese session itself, they gained about 106 pips and it is trading around 99.31, 99.34, 98.26 was the low, 99.40 was the high. I was telling you that they wanted to make a extreme move in the case of Australian dollar. They are preparing for it. Now we are in the last week of the month and you could come across more virulent moves happening in the market. Keep that in mind that the players can make whips or moves in the market during the week, month end, and trade accordingly. And whatever the positions you trade, whenever the profit becomes visible, try to keep stop at entry and try to trail the stop. And when the profit is optimal or more than your expectation, just grab the profit. Otherwise, they can simply go on the opposite direction. As I explained, that the players are now getting lower volume from that of US market. So obviously, in order to get the liquidity, they are expected to make more volatile move, probably a wild move for that of the month end. So don't become disappointed and don't out of greed hold the position when it is making maximum profit and later on see that it is making a big loss. And that sort of disappointment should not happen. Try to use the trading strategy, whatever be the forecast. The forecast may say that it can go up, but doesn't mean that straight they can take the market up. And small traders need to use the trading strategy to limit the risk and maximize the profit. Keep the stop at entry and keep the stop wherever you want to have an optimal profit. Then you can try to maximize the profit, not blindly simply holding the positions. Then with regard to that of the crosses, you find that Euro GBP has gone to that of 89 area and it is expected to drop, and you will come across more gains in the case of GBP quickly in an aggressive way that could create a bullish feel in the market. But many of the traders would have just liquidated the GB position and holding Euro position, but Euro they will slowly gain the levels when compared to that of GBP. So this is what they create and disappoint the traders. And if you go what is visible in the market, then probably you may not be able to successfully earn from that of the market. Then in the case of yen crosses, they are showing a nominal positive net change because there is a massive gain during the Japanese session itself in the case of Euro and GBP, and USD yen has dropped nominally. As a result, you come across a nominal gain in the case of Euro yen and GBP yen, and they are expected to make range-bound moves because Japanese yen, USD yen, they are trying to hold it in a narrow range, and that could be the last currency to come out of that. By the time you'll come across Australian dollar going to the parity, and then people will think that Australian dollar is a safe haven currency rather than Japanese yen or CHF or a Canadian dollar, because Canadian dollar was enjoying that, and once US dollar was enjoying a safe haven currency strategy in the beginning of the year, then subsequently it was shifted to that of Japanese yen, CHF, and before that the Canadian dollar. Now probably everybody will come back to that of Australian dollar, telling that it is a safe haven currency, and gold it was considered as a safe haven investment, and subsequently it is not gaining as expected, and Australian dollar is gaining more when compared to that of not much of a gain in the case of gold. This is how what you consider as they are correlated market, and you will come across a total disconnect. Let me focus the camera over that of the PowerPoint presentation and explain the forecast for today. Swing and rise moves are expected during that of the Japanese session, and volatile moves and rise are expected during the European session. During the start of the European session, there could be a dip and then quick rise could happen. Probably the data release or any such thing could be used as a trigger. Then again, you could come across a volatile move during the late European session, the early US session, and then further gains could be seen. So it is the last week of the month, very volatile moves could be seen. And let me explain to you what could be the expected moves for the entire week. So today is 25th. I am expecting the swing and rise moves. And tomorrow you could come across more aggressive gains could be seen, 26th. And probably during the Japanese session, they could make Euro and GBP negative net change and then subsequently gain. And during the late European session tomorrow, they may make a dip. And during the US session, they could aggressively gain the levels. And Wednesday, you could come across more volatile moves in the market. Up and down moves could be seen. And before that, they should set new high in the case of Euro. And they could reach the recent high in the case of GBP. And Euro could be making more volatile moves, but GBP could be gaining more levels during that particular time. And Thursday and Friday, you could come across the market is expected to make extreme moves. So as the days proceed, I'll explain to you how exactly such extreme moves are going to be either on the upside or on the downside. So during the trend reversal times or month end and the new month beginning time, avoid doing position trade, and if the positions are held and if you are able to see substantial profit, try to book profit, realize the profit during the extreme quick rise in the market. And you know very well quick gains or quick rises are false moves, quick drops are false moves. So whenever you come across quick rise, then understand that the players are trying to gain the level very quickly and trying to book profit. At that time, everybody will be giving a bullish call. But later on, they could reverse the market and accumulate the buy position and continue to rise during the next month. So that is going to be the long-term forecast. Before that, you need to understand the intraday moves so that you will not be hurt by holding a higher level long position and become jittery and ask continuously questions in the blog. So I given you the strategy and I explained what could be the possible moves. It may happen or may not happen. They are all nothing but the expectations or derivations from my own analysis or using the algorithm. So it doesn't mean that it has to become 100% true. There could be variations in the market. So only the market reading from time to time will be able to fine tune the forecast. Then still there might be an element of error involved in that. Use the trading strategies to limit the risk and maximize the profit. Then with regard to the initial lows and the highs, Euro formed the low 1.3935, which was not breached, and the high was 1.4034, and subsequently they breached the high and formed 1.4043. Then in the case of GBP, 1.5661 was the low, which is intact, and 1.5744 was the initial high. They breached it and formed 1.5768, and it is substantially staying above that of the initial high. Whereas in the case of Euro, it is holding around that. So you can understand GBP has got a great potential today to gain, and you have seen last week, Euro was gaining about 200 pips. We could come across today GBP gaining about 300 to 350 pips. Still, don't emotionally grip with that. Use your trading strategy to maximize the profit. Then USD CHF 0.9723 was the initial low, which is not breached when Euro has gained about 85 pips. CHF has dropped only about 44 pips, and it is closer to the low but not breached the low. So you can understand what they intend to do. The high was 0.8782. So here afterwards, whenever there is an aggressive gain in the case of Euro and GBP, the denominator currencies might make sideways moves rather than an opposite drop. So if you use the denominator currencies for hedging or for trading decisions, it may not work. So probably you may have to think of a contrarian trade, buy and sell trade in the case of Euro, as well as buy and sell trade in the case of USD CHF. And I demonstrated on Friday how exactly if you do that buy and sell trade in both the numerator as well as the denominator currencies, you will be able to continue to book profit on that particular day. Then USD Yen 81.07 was the initial low, and they breached, formed 80.96 as the low. The high is intact, 81.44, and 59 pips negative net change is seen currently. So not much of a downside could be seen, but they could slowly gain the levels during the day. And you would have noticed on Friday, there was actually a short covering happening towards the close, and they breached the high and went above to that of 81.46, because a lot of traders thinking that when all other big shorts are thinking that USDN is a safe haven currency, why not we take a little bit of sell positions and try to book about 20-30 pips profit, rather than taking a buy position and expecting DOJ to intervene, and they are not coming into the picture at all. So, and those people have done the short covering finally. Then, the case of Australian dollar, 98.26 was the initial low, which was intact, and 99.24 was the high, and they breached the high, and 99.40 has become the new high. Already about 110 pips they gained. So, you come across the case of Australian dollars, nowadays big moves, because a lot of traders are taking positions in Australian dollar. Then USD CAD 1.0218 was the initial low, and they breached the low, formed 1.0209, and not much of a downside, and you come across 48 pips negative net change is seen, and the high was 1.0266, and as you know that in the case of Canadian dollar, they will make one downward stop and an upward stop on a daily basis. When they do a downward stop and then try to do a buy and sell trade. When they make an upward stop and try to do a sell and buy trade, you'll be able to easily book profit on that. So these are all the current market conditions in relation to the initial lows and the highs. Let me minimize the PowerPoint presentation and take up the questions which are asked here. Meanwhile, I'll focus the camera over there at the live market code page. San Francisco, USDN remain in the choppy trading range this week. Gradually it will come out of that in this particular week. Before that, CHF has to come out and the Canadian dollar has to come out first, and later on CHF, and then finally Japanese yen is expected to come out of this particular range. Then, is this week beginning false move? No, it is the last week, sir. So you do not come across week beginning false move. We come across last week of the month and the first week of the month, the volatile moves during the start of the week. So either way they will move, they will not set the trend, and they will try to hit the stops on either way by making extreme moves. Then Rob, only in the second and third weeks they make week beginning false moves. Rob asked the question, do you expect recent lows to be broken in the case of GBP during the volatile moves? They have done enough of a downward move in the case of GBP, and they could gain the levels during this particular week, and next week will come across more aggressive gains. And in the case of Euro, they could make volatile moves. So they could come to 1.39 or 1.38 area briefly intraday and then go up. Then New Age. In your trading, does your strategy take precedence of your forecast? For example, if your forecast is for a rise and the short trade is set up, would you take the short trade or wait for buy? No, I don't. Whenever during the trending time, I avoid taking the counter trend trade. So during the month end, you come across trend reversals. At that time, you can try to do the counter trend trade. Before that, during the trending time, it is advisable to wait for the quick pullback and try to enter long so that you will not be stopped out, because they stay at the lower level at a brief time frame. So we can quickly grab the buy position and we will be able to keep the stop at entry, and you find the quick gain happening there. Then similarly, when they are handling the high, you should try to exit. So similar to that of the entry strategy, we need to follow the exit strategy also to book the profit. If you simply make the mental calculations that, okay, I earned about 120 pips. Let me earn 200 pips, then I'll close. Then once it becomes 200 pips, let me earn 250 pips, then I'll close. If you try to be under the grip of greed, then probably they will try to show the other way, move and disappoint you. So always try to use the trading strategy in the event if you want to maximize the profit, not by greed. Because any emotional decisions will be wrong in life. You know very well about it. The initial low in GBP is the lowest point in Japanese session. Yes, it just started it that way and started taking up. And it is taken from the timing. So whatever the low which is seen in the live market code page, you have to take into consideration as the initial low. When they are not breached also, doesn't matter. Whatever you come across around 3:30 GMT as the low and the high in the live market code page, use that as a reference levels. And what is the basic idea of noting down the initial lows and the initial highs? Because they are the levels, the players use it as a reference level. So we will also try to use them so that we will be able to read them, what they try to do. It is not that my own strategy or my own ideology that we should go in for initial lows and the highs. Okay, it is something like when I am in somebody's country, then I need to know their language to talk to them fluently and understand what they are conversing. Otherwise, if I don't know the local language, when they talk in their own language in my presence, I will think that they are scolding me. No, that will happen normally. So when you are trying to trade along with the other players, try to understand what they are trying to do and what they are trying to communicate. Then don't keep. So basically your forecast is the GBP will go up to 1.61, 350 pips from the recent price. Yes. Let us see that it happens today. See, I don't want any appreciation and things like that from you people. If you are benefited out of that, I am very happy about it. So, if you give any criticisms, I'll absorb it. I'll use it as a trigger for the development of the forecast model. But simply accusing me, obviously I am also a human being and it is not going to help anybody. If the forecast has gone wrong, then you can say that forecast has gone wrong. I'll accept it. But rather than simply using all other attributes and telling that no forecast is misguiding or I am a part of the players and trying to misguide, and if you say like that, then I will be really depressed. That's what I can tell you as human being. Then Francisco, could we see a dip towards mid-level to buy Euro and GBP? Obviously, during the European session, you could come across a downward move, and at that time you can do a buy. There is no hurry. Don't buy after the rise. They may make one upward stop and things like that, and that is not going to give you a breakout trade opportunity. And if you try to take a position and if you fail to book profit, and during the European session, quick volatile drop, you will become jittery. Never do that. So the breakout trades during the trend reversal times will be very, very risky. During the trending time, it will be fine. So you have to understand what time frame you are doing such trades. Then JD and Kim. How probable that GBP would fall back to that of 1.5670 line before spiking up again in London session? GBP is quite high this Asian session. If you see the next change in the case of GBP and Euro, they are alternatively rate. So initially Euro was showing 75 pips positive net change and GBP was showing 85 pips. And now you come across Euro is making 83 pips positive net change, GBP is making 78 pips net change. So they are doing pump and dump moves in the case of Euro GBP. So after handling it during the mid session, towards close of the session, if Euro GBP gains more than that of Euro, then the fall in the case of GBP will be limited. because they decided to drop Euro GBP, then they may not drop GBP again. And Euro could drop, say 30 pips or 40 pips. At that time, GBP might drop about 15 to 20 pips. That's how the drops will be. So more will be seen in the case of Euro when compared to that of GBP. So that you'll be able to recognize when they are, how exactly they show the net change around 7 GMT. Fine tune your analysis market reading, then you will be teaching me how to trade and how to handle it. I want it that way. Then, Vijay, what do you mean by initial lows and the initial highs? At what time? I've been explaining it many times. Between 2:30 and 3:30 GMT, the initial lows and the highs are being set and they are used as a reference levels by the other players. You simply make a note of the highs and the lows around 3:30 GMT. Current time is 5:36 GMT. When it is around 3:30 GMT, you make a note of the initial lows and the highs in all the 6 pairs, the 4 majors and 2 commodity pairs, and continue to track it during the day. You will find that initial lows and the highs are very relevant and they are being used by the other players for their action. Then, how do you see gold this week? See, the rise potential is limited in the case of gold, as I have been explaining. They have done enough of upward move and offloaded and built their sell positions, and they used the trigger when all the markets were dropping. They dropped gold about $45, and then subsequently they are holding only around the initial level with a nominal gain, and they are not gaining much. And if you try to do buy and sell trade looking into that other currency, you might disappoint. You might become disappointed because they are expected to slide according to my algorithm. Then DTPT. Do you expect recent lows in Australian dollar to be revisited? They are not going to show such recent levels again and again, sir. Once in a while they will show it as a surprise. Again and again if they show it, then everybody will go and grab the buy position. So you have to look for the opportunities in the market and you have to quickly grab it. Otherwise they will ask you to buy it at a higher level. And drop. When do you expect 1.61 in GBP? Either today, tomorrow, we should be able to see that. And on Friday, many were asking in the blog whether Euro could go to 1.40 and nobody has raised their question now. So this is how, if you wait patiently, you will come across all those levels. So I've been keep telling that market rewards patience, nothing more. And impulsive traders become jittery all the time. But if you are a calm trader, you'll be able to see nice profit, and it is a child's play. And if you develop the mindset to become calm and reason out for all the market actions on your own way, simply understanding that there are only 2 possibilities, either rise the market or drop the market. Why do you look for attributes? Just ignore all the attributes and you just look into the time at which the attributes are going to be released and see that market action. And finally you will come across there can only 2 possible ways, either a rise or a drop in the market, and you find the long-term forecast I have given it. So I need not give the intraday trend also. You can just understand whenever there is a quick drop and they don't cut that low for more than 30 minutes, you can take a buy. Still, it may not be the lowest point. So try to keep a hedging order to limit the risk. If that happens to be the lowest point, then try to keep stop at entry, then maximize the profit whenever they are making an upward quick move. Try to watch and they stop cutting the high for more than 30 minutes. Try to book profit. Is it difficult, sir? I don't know. Have you ever met a player in your life? I have met nearly 3 players. Then Bola. Let me not talk about that. That is not going to be any relevance here. Then Bola. Is it clear we don't have contrarian moves? Probably just because we are asked about the player, let me give one instant. There is an Indian operator and by name Ketan Parekh, and he called me and he asked me what will happen, and he was not known as the market player in India. I'm just giving an Indian story. Then subsequently I told him that you better divert your funds, and there is going to be a danger in 2001 February. Okay, February 2001. And he just laughed at me and he said that, thank you. And subsequently, by end of February, he was arrested and all the money were wiped out. Then, no, it is not for just to say that my forecast has come true or things like that. That is how the destiny works. Because anybody earns money in the market in an unusual way, or anybody who is earning the money in the world in an unusual way, they lose it in an unusual way. That is why our forefathers and ancestors, they always preached us that earn your money in a very hard way and it will be sustained. Then Bola. Is it clear we don't have contrarian moves? Can we take advantage of the extended moves, or we should wait for 2 hours like a system specified? You follow the system, sir, and that will work in any market condition. Then Don. I simply wanted to confirm that understood you are correctly. That's all. Sorry for a mistake. Do you think S&P 500 is due for a correction? No. You will come across aggressive gains in the stock market, sir, and don't go for short sale. After the US midterm elections, so, or will it be holding until? No, they are going to hold it till second week of November. Then FinPro. Why do they use 3.3 GMT for the initial? No, I should ask them, sir. I don't know. How much more upside do you see for Australian dollar? I told you that above parity is a great potential. Do you see 1.01 by tomorrow, not 1.1. Yeah, we could see above parity either today, tomorrow, and it will be hovering around a particular level for some more time. So let me go back to the other PowerPoint presentation. Okay. The forecast for today: swing and rise during that of the Japanese session, and you come across in the live market quote page 1.4058. They are showing it in the bid. Ask is 1.4041. So this is how they signal it. So they wanted to rise more. Then European session, volatile moves and further rise. Then US session again, initial volatile moves and then rise. And this being the last week of the month, and you could come across very volatile moves, more on the upside and less on the downside. So carefully trade and don't become emotional and try to control the emotions and try to see that you are able to view the market volatility as a quick trading opportunity and try to earn out of that. And in the case of Euro, they reached the high and still staying above that of the high. In the case of GBP, they breached the high and still staying above that of the initial high. And CHF, they are not. They breached the low by 10 pips now. And Japanese yen, they breached the low and again breached the new low, 80.93 by another 7-8 pips. 80.86 has become the low, and they are holding the bid around 80.86 and the ask is 80.89. They could show the ask also 80.86 and just create the fear among the traders. That is how they do it. Then Australian dollar 98.26 was the low. That's intact. The high was 99.24. They breached the high, and the recent high 99.40 was also breached, and 99.45 has become a new high, and they are trading around above that of the initial high. So when they stayed above that of the initial high for more than 30 minutes, you come across a breakout trade opportunity. Then in the case of Canadian dollar, 1.0218, they breached and formed 1.0208, and that has not been breached, and but still 1.0208 they are keeping it in the R, and that is black. And that means they have not removed the order. They could make one more dip and then try to gain the levels, trigger the stops, and then gain. So you find that the contrarian moves are to continue in the market, and there could be more volatile moves in the coming days. Be prepared for such things and don't be afraid, and don't think that let the volatility get settled down, then later on I enter into the market. You may not get an opportunity. Market is expected to have volatile moves here onwards for a long time. So I take this opportunity to thank FX Street and also you participants who have come here to listen to my talk and probably use it as your reference for your trading decisions. And we'll meet again by tomorrow and review the market on a daily basis and see where exactly the market is being taken by the other players. Thank you one and all. Bye.